The honourable member from Edmonton, Mill Woods.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, I will be splitting my time with my colleague from Kildonan St. Paul. Mr. Speaker, as you know, the revelations that the RCMP presented to Canadians on last Monday were absolutely shocking, and I know talked to a number of people across the country who were shocked at the idea that agents of the government of India were not only involved in foreign interference, but also going further than that, that foreign interference included murder, extortion, use of organized crime, some international crime syndicates, some here in Canada, intimidation of Canadians, coercion of Canadians. It got to the point, Mr. Speaker, where the RCMP had to essentially warn Canadians. They specifically went and warned 13 Canadians that your lives are in danger because of this foreign interference, that because there's concerns that agents of the government of India, that their lives are in risk because of the actions that they may take. Mr. Speaker, this is a clear affront to our sovereignty as a nation. This threatens us, our democracy, and threatens us as a country. Mr. Speaker, we must take steps to protect Canadians. We have to protect our sovereignty. We must protect our democracy. And we need to get answers for Canadians of why this is happening, how this continues to happen. And we need to take steps to stop foreign interference from all countries, but in this case directly from India. Mr. Speaker, it is important that we as all parliamentarians and this government must take national security seriously. We must take the threat of foreign interference very seriously. Now, Mr. Speaker, the idea of foreign interference from India, it's not new. Ever since I was younger, whenever, we would always hear people who spoke up on human rights issues or other issues that the government of the day may not agree with, that, there'd be concerns that they may not receive a visa to go back to India. That was the type of threat that we commonly heard previously. But what the RCMP explained now, what the RCMP has uncovered and what they have evidence for, from murder, extortion, coercion, and use of organized crime, that goes way beyond what we used to hear before. Even to the point, Mr. Speaker, that in the United States, a plot to murder a plot to murder an American was thwarted by the U.S. authorities. The U.S. security agencies were able to thwart that plot. And soon after that, arrests were made in the U.S. But unfortunately, we do not have that here. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister at the Hogue Commission admitted that they have heard about, that their security agencies in Canada have known about foreign interference from India, that they've been committing foreign interference for years. And yet, this government has not taken appropriate steps to protect Canadians, even after the fact that a Canadian was assassinated on Canadian soil, Mr. Speaker. And yet, Canadians continue to be under threat. Even, Mr. Speaker, the fact is that after a number of years, we have been attempting to bring solutions forward on foreign interference. It was our government, our party, who pushed forward for a foreign interference registry, for a foreign registry for foreign agents to be registered. For a number of years, the Liberals rejected this. The NDP supported them in rejecting this. And finally, after pressure from the Conservatives, we now have, starting to become a foreign interference registry of agents to be registered to stop foreign interference. Mr. Speaker, one of the methods that the RCMP has said that agents of the Indian government are using to target Canadians is extortion. that extortion, they're using international gangs, they're using gangs and paid gangs here in Canada. One of the solutions that that we put forward, because it's important that we as an opposition to put solutions forward, was my private member's bill, Bill C-381. Mr. Speaker, the fact is that right now in Canada, there is no minimum penalty for extortion. But with C-381, anybody committing extortion would have received 3 years a mandatory minimum sentence. 4 years if they had committed that extortion with a firearm, and 5 years if they had committed that extortion in relation to organized crime. And that is precisely what we are talking about here today. That is exactly what the RCMP has said that is happening in this case, that through organized crime, Canadians are being extorted. And yet, the Liberals and the NDP voted against that bill. Mr. Speaker, when we put solutions forward, unfortunately, the Liberals rejected those solutions. The fact of the matter is that Canada now is much more dangerous than it was 9 years ago in every respect, in every category, Mr. Speaker. Crime is up. Murders are up. It is less safe to be in Canada, and as we are finding out, Mr. Speaker, foreign interference from India has gone to a point that, to an extreme level, where Canadians' lives are at threat. We've already seen that a Canadian has been assassinated because of it. Mr. Speaker, it is important, and it should be, that this government needs to take more and better actions to protect Canadians. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Questions et commentaires. The honourable member from Waterloo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I appreciate the comments that the member has shared, and I appreciate his work on the private member's bill. And I would like to ask the member, though it's pretty easy to always make it someone else's issue, is it important that when it comes to the sovereignty of our country, when it comes to defending Canadians' rights and freedoms and their ability to exist in our country, is it important that all parties take this work seriously? Because I believe that we are Canadian first. I was born and raised in the Waterloo region. I did not choose to be born in Waterloo. I did not choose to be Canadian. I did choose my political party, but today we are talking about the loss of a Canadian. I would ask the member, does everyone have a responsibility, and can he please confirm why his leader chooses not to get his security clearance? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member from Edmonton Wood Mills.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It is absolutely imperative that we do, as a House of Commons, as parliamentarians, to bring forward solutions to help this situation. And the fact is, Mr. Speaker, she appreciates the fact that I brought forward a private member's bill on extortion to address the issue, very serious issue of extortion in Canada. But the fact of the matter is that her and her party voted against that bill and that solution. So it's one thing to say that we all need to work together and address something, but it's another thing to ignore those issues, ignore solutions, and continue on the way that they have been going on. Mr. Speaker, the issue of foreign interference from India is a very serious one, and this government needs to take it more seriously.
The honourable member, l'honorable député de Rivière-des-Mille.
The honourable member for Rivière-des-Mille-Îles. Pardon me, Rivière-du-Nord.
Oh, c'est des Mille-Îles?
Is it Rivière-des-Mille-Îles? Rivière-du-Nord. Rivière-du-Nord. The honourable member for Rivière-du-Nord. Have you recognized me? Yes? All right. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My colleague, the member for Lac-Saint-Jean, asked the same question twice. Liberal colleagues did not answer the question. That is a bit annoying because it's a very important question. This House passed a motion in 2020, a motion calling for a foreign agents registry. to deal with foreign interference. So this was called for in November 2020. Here we are now. It's 2024. We're in the same situation. Consultations were only launched last year in 2023. Does my colleague feel that that's acceptable? When a motion calls for urgent, swift action, does my colleague find it acceptable that the government should take 3 or 4 years to take action? I thank the member for Rivière-du-Nord, the honourable member for Edmonton-Bellwoods.
Speaker, and I appreciate the honourable colleague's question, and he's absolutely correct that the Liberals would not answer that question, and that is, there's a reason for that, Mr. Speaker, because they don't take this issue seriously. We as a Conservative Party have been asking for and have actually presented solutions on presenting a foreign registry for foreign agents. That registry would have helped in this situation, but unfortunately, the Liberals did not bring that forward. He is correct in saying that there was a motion in the House of Commons to bring one forward, a unanimous one, and yet no solution by the Liberals. There is one now, but now they're saying that they're consulting, Mr. Speaker. They don't take this issue seriously.
The honourable member from Windsor West.
My colleague's intervention. You know, there's been a time here in this place where different leaders of political parties could not get a security clearance. We're not allowed to and had to actually fight to be able to get access to that. That changed. So my question to my colleague is that now his leader is fighting to stay off that security clearance on this particular issue. And what other issues will they come public with that they won't get a security clearance on, because it's been clearly put out, in fact, has been standard practice to ensure our democracy is protected by all parliaments and all political parties by a security clearance?
The honourable member from Edmonton Millwoods has 40 seconds to reply.
Mr. Speaker, this absolutely doesn't make any sense, because on this issue, on Monday, when our CMP discussed this issue with all Canadians, the Leader of the Opposition received a briefing from Nathaniel Durin, National Security and Intelligence Advisor to the Prime Minister, and by the Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs at Global Affairs Canada, and the Director of CSIS. All of them gave the Leader of the Opposition a briefing on this issue, Mr. Speaker. The only difference is that the Leader of the Opposition is the only leader that will not be gagged by the Prime Minister in taking that oath. The job of the Leader of the Opposition is to hold them to account, and if he was to take that oath, he would not be able to do that.